you, today we would talk about how to brand yourself, to beat the competition, beat the masses, and actually start landing here. So here we are. I wanted to make sure I promised you, and I got so many questions about this. So I'm going to try to answer all of them here today. If ever we start going on too long, what I'll do is I'll just split this up into different segments. So before we dive in, let me know if you are there, if you're watching live, and what city are you in right now. Let's hear from you. And as I go through, make sure you let me know any questions you have about branding in terms of getting the career that you want. And with that being said, we will dive right in. But also, before we get started, think about one person that could benefit from this. Don't be selfish. I think it's one of these things that when it comes to career, especially things like branding and things like standing out from a lot of people start to feel a little bit selfish, a little bit secrets for myself. I don't want to share them, but share it with someone close to you, someone you want to help out, someone you think is going to be able to benefit from this information, because you guys will actually be able to help each other in terms of your branding, in terms of your networking, and it's always so much better to go through the process together. So let me know below who have you shared this with, and let me know where you're calling from, and we will get started. I just have a couple of people that I promised to tag, so let me see if we can get them here. Okay, my amazing assistant is going to help with tagging, and otherwise I think it's going to be a while while I tag every single person. Hey, we have Jonathan here, so nice to see you. And Jonathan submitted a question, so we're going to get to those questions in a second. Anyone else is there? Let me know. And so we're going to start off with really the first question, which is, what is career branding? Or we can also call it personal branding. Like, I think everyone has an idea what that is, but what do you guys think it is? Let me know below, and we will look at that. So do you know what it is, or do you feel like you kind of know, but you're not really sure? Or is this something that you feel like you do well, or is it something you feel like you need help with? It's been on your mind for a while, but yeah, I know I need to learn and brand myself better. What is it? Let me know your situation below. And really, when we talk about branding, personal branding, career branding, I see a lot of myths out there or misconceptions or people who are just working on the wrong things. So it is important to talk about what does that actually mean, and what are the components that are important. What is it that you want to be actually focusing your attention on? What will make the biggest difference in terms of your career? So yesterday I posted a bit about this. If you didn't see that post, you can scroll down and have a look. But I talked about a couple of the mistakes that I see people making. There are a lot more, but one of the first ones, and again, let me know first, what do you guys think of when you think about career branding? Like, what comes to mind? I know that for a lot of people, they start thinking about CV. They think, I need to brand myself. Okay, I'll get out that CV, and it's probably from the 1990s, so I need to, update the font or make it pretty or add colors or get new photos of myself. If you guys have a photo of yourself on the CV, or I need to think about, making myself a new logo. A lot of people are thinking like that, but that is not really branding. And a lot of times worrying about those kinds of details or putting too much focus on your CV actually holds people back from getting the career that they want, because what ends up happening is that your CV doesn't really create your branding. It's just one tool of many. And for a lot of people, like CV, they spend hours and hours reading the CV, and the CV does nothing to actually improve your brand in the direction they want. You have to be careful about that. Your branding is something that actually comes before your CV. So before you even think about touching that CV, you need to get clear on what to do about your branding. And the CV is just a product of that branding. Does that make sense, you guys? If not, let me know what your questions are, and I'll answer them, okay? So Jonathan says he's excited. I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us live. It's always so much better when you guys are actually here so we can interact. So he says, your brand is how you holistically convey yourself, and I feel mine is getting better but could be stronger. Okay, excellent. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, so your brand is how you holistically convey yourself. Exactly. It's more, I like the word holistically because it's deeper and wider than things like, oh, my CV, my LinkedIn profile, my font, my, whatever. All these things are just kind of bits and pieces and components, whereas your brand is really how you're coming across. It's what you're known for. How do other people know you? They think of your name, what do you think about? One of the biggest mistakes people making is that you guys I work with are very, very successful and vocal people. They're these people who anything they decide they want to do in their life, they have so many skills, so many different people live 10 different lives, 100 different lives, they have 100 different jobs because they have really great skills, they're really great to work with, and there's so many different things they would actually enjoy doing. However, this creates a huge problem for a lot of people when it comes to personal branding because they want to show everything that they're capable of, and they're just capable of so many different things, they end up being known for none of them. So that's the really sad thing, and that is the problem that I find myself helping people to fix most of the time in their branding. It's this almost being too amazing of a person, being too capable, having too many abilities, and then they fall into that trap of being a jack of all trades, a master of none kind of thing. However, even if you're an amazing person who's multi-talented and multi-interested, there is a way to turn you into a Leonardo da Vinci who actually can be known for different things, but to still be considered a master of them and to still be able to land those positions as a specialist that employers want, as that go-to person, or whether it's that you want an employer, you want that job, or whether it's that you're trying to attract clients. Either way, you're going to need to have your branding dialed in. We have Luis here as well. He says, "Hola dear, hi Luis, how are you? Let me know if you have, or if you've done yourself, because I know I've noticed that you are quite into the career branding, so I would love to know, what do you think you're known for, and is there anything in terms of your personal branding that you're working on right now to know from you?" He says some good and bad examples. Okay, yeah, good question. It's always better to give examples. So an example of someone with, let's start with the bad, right? Someone who has bad branding. I'm going to use a client I have right now. She knows who she is, and I don't think she'll mind us using her. She knows we've been working together, and her branding is amazing now. So up until this past week, her branding was quite scattered. Again, she's, like I was mentioning, she's one of these amazing people. She's an artist, she's a filmmaker, she's a storyteller, she is a teacher. She's helped her students not just learn about art, but also learn about collaborative approaches, how to collaborate. So the point is, and then these are just a couple of the things that she's good at and she loves to do and she has experience in. Beyond that, there are 100 other things that either she would like to do or has done or is good at, like so much. However, in her profile, you don't really know who she was. Like when she would write on her LinkedIn or on her CV, or when she would talk to people, it wasn't clear who she actually was. The only concrete thing she could say is, "I'm a teacher," and because she teaches. But that wasn't really the direction that she wanted to go in. And because she wasn't able to brand herself in that new direction, she was always falling back into the same types of positions. And she knew that's what she wanted, but she just kept repeating her past because she wasn't able to create that new future in a focused way. She was just piecing together like all of these different things that she likes and that she knows she's good at. And she was trying to showcase all facets of herself. And what would happen is that she wasn't being seen as a specialist. Does that make sense, or do you need any other details? And Jonathan says, another important thing is, with great branding, two things: an instantaneous reaction that is visceral and congruent with your aims. Such a great writer, Jonathan. And brand and a residual, lower fading impression of you that stays with the person in charge and lingers in their mouth so they remember you. Wow, great comment. And yeah, so branding, I think you're talking about the attention grabbing aspect of branding. Like, what is it that makes you stand out from that competition? Kind of like I put in the title of the video that makes them go, oh, this person is interesting, right? Because most employers are faced with hundreds of CVs, hundreds, if not thousands of people on LinkedIn, if they're scrolling and they're looking at that. So what is the thing that makes them go, actually check out your profile? And then what is that thing that makes them think of you when they haven't even seen anything? So they're not scrolling, they're not coming across their profile, but they have an opening, or they need to hire someone for something. Maybe it's a client who needs help with your services, and even though they haven't spotted you in that moment anywhere, they remember you because they have that lingering, oh yeah, that person is exactly perfect for them. I'm going to either recommend you to someone who needs you, or they call you up because the project, they see this project and they just think of you. Louise says, thanks, it would be nice to have those links available. Which links are you talking about, Louise? I have many links, but which links are you talking about? Okay, I'm actually asking you the question. I was asking you, what do you do in terms of your branding? Like, what do you think you're known for? And what are you working right now in terms of your brand? But I might have also not remembered that's something I might do. So let me know if I missed something. Okay, so, and then you asked for an example of good branding. Well, an example of good branding is, for example, my client Laura, where she had her past experience, she wanted to do something new, and she was able to bundle up all of those skills into a specific job role, and all of a sudden she was branded for this very specific job role. So she was able to show how all of her skills lined up towards making her the perfect candidate to be a project manager in a creative corporate environment with a nice aesthetic. And so it's very, very specific, but her branding all fed into this, and she was able to land that exact position. So let me know if you guys need any more examples, feel free. I want to get into, I think I had a couple of other mistakes that I see people making, but I wanted to make sure to share so that you guys don't end up making any of those mistakes. Oh, yes. Oh, I love this one. So another thing I've seen, and again, let me know what examples that you guys, I'm sure you guys have examples that you've seen. So let's talk about social media. So I just mentioned, right, social, things like your CV, your LinkedIn, etc. They're tools. So the number one most important thing is, first you must get clear on the direction. What direction are you heading in? So I just talked about being too general versus really knowing specifically. Well, this is one of the big problems for a lot of people. Before you start thinking about updating your CV, oh, I need better branding, all that kind of thing, you need to know, what is my purpose? Like, what am I doing here on this planet? What's the point of my existence? What's the point of my work? And if the point of your work is to earn a paycheck and get yourself as fast as possible, or at the least amount of pay possible until you get Friday or until you get your 1 week holiday or whatever, there's your first problem. You need to know what you stand for, what is that purpose, and what is your, now, some of you, fears. And then this creates a lot of anxiety. Yeah, I know what my special skill is, but that's what I'm going to do it for. Okay, well then you need to get clear on what is that specialization, that new specialization going to be before you get into how you're going to brand yourself towards that, okay? So the first thing is to figure out your purpose. I realize that's a big one. Like if you're learning about how to brand yourself, you probably don't, you're like, oh great, now I'm back to square one. I have no idea what my purpose is, or I sort of know what it is, I get it. Figuring out your purpose doesn't need to be something that you take 5 years to figure out, and 10 yoga retreats and 1 meditation retreat and 100 conversations with different people in order to figure that out. You need, like with my clients, we spend 1 to 2 weeks. You go through the questioning sequence. By the end of that sequence, you know what it is that you're called to do, and then you can actually work on making that happen so that in a few weeks from now, you're now a new person and you're actually in that dream role, as opposed to still trying to figure out what that can be. So really, really important to know what is your purpose, what is it that you're here to do in this world. Once you know that, then you can get into all of this branding, but that doesn't mean you just go directly into, okay, CV, LinkedIn, etc. But these can be really, really great tools. So you need to understand which are the most relevant tools for you. You don't want to just try to do all things and then end up not reaching anyone. And so I see a lot of people, especially more experienced professionals, who are actually losing out on social media. Let me know, what is your relationship with social media? Is it something you use only for personal purposes? Is it something you use only for professional purposes? Is it something you're trying to use for professional purposes, but you end up feeling like it's not really going anywhere? You see younger people than you who are all over social media and just being really annoying, but then you also see them getting better jobs, and you're like, you know, what's going on? I have way better experience than them, but they're getting these positions. Let me just see if I have any other comments here. Okay. So let me know, what is your relationship with social media? A lot of people are still anti-social media, either because of privacy concerns, or I've met people who have commented, oh, I just don't want to share anything personal on social media. I like to keep them separate. Well, in this day and age, it's very difficult to keep personal from professional. People are very themselves. Oh, I maintain my personal life and professional life so separate. You know, I'm so high and mighty with them. And that's fine if you really want to do that. There are ways to do that, but I would consider bringing them together, because a lot of times the people who excel the most in their careers are the ones who find a way to stop separating them. And one of the big reasons for that is that it takes up 80% of your life anyway. So if you're, a lot of people see their work in their personal life like 50, half, or maybe they try to even see work as 20% the part they have to get done to enjoy the rest of their life, yet they're spending the majority of their time, like 80% of their time at work, 20% of their time not at work. So if you're talking about your job and you're trying to keep it separate from everything else, that's really, really difficult. And you can actually accelerate your career just by seeing the whole thing as one and not being afraid to talk about your job on social media. Oh, Alyssa Marie says, this is something I need. Branding doesn't come easy to me. Okay, I'm going to tell her, we're live now. Please ask your questions. Okay, hopefully she gets this. This is so great to have you. All right, so let's jump into over on social media. What can you do if you're not actually utilizing social media actively? So again, once you know your purpose and you know what it is that you want to be communicating, you then want to jump onto social media, prioritize which channels you are the most relevant towards your audience and the people you want to be communicating with. And that's where you need to get really, really clear on your value. So you need to be very clear on the exact skills you have to offer. Like I was mentioning before with Laura, even if those skills have nothing to do with your new direction, you need to understand how to leverage them, how to package them, exactly so that they fit that new direction perfectly. And I know that right now that might seem like something that's going to be impossible, because you don't even know what your new direction is, or if you do, you just don't see how those skills can fit in a neat and tidy way. It just seems like, okay, well, this is what I've been doing, so how can I take those into a new direction? But I've never, ever worked with someone where there wasn't a way to do that. And I've never had anyone who has to go back and start at the bottom and work their way up. If you know the steps and you know how to uncover that value and communicate that value, you will always be able to start at the same rank of the ladder or even higher up. So that is really, really important to know. And so don't ignore the power of social media when it comes to your branding. If you're still trying to ignore it, or if you're still, even if you're one of these people who are like, oh, I'll just put things on LinkedIn and hope someone finds, you're not leveraging social media. You're not really, you need to learn the tool properly. Like make professional use out of it. Stop treating social media as something that is for cat memes. I know my friends used to share those cat memes back in the 2000s or whatever it was, and that was fun. However, times have changed. Like, you need to be using social media in a professional way. However, that brings us to another mistake I see people making, which is using social media in an overly professional way. Who's watching right now? Have you seen anyone on your Facebook or even LinkedIn who just is constantly posting about, today at work I met so and so, or I did this, and we're doing such good work, and they just lose their personality, and you feel a bit annoyed with them because it's like, oh, they're selling themselves constantly. I know you guys know that person. Obviously, you don't have to name them, but just let me know below. Yes, I know that person. And a lot of us are afraid of becoming that person because we see how annoying they are. And yeah, that's a legitimate fear because you don't want to be that person either. And that can also actually sabotage your career. Like if you sell yourself in the wrong way, then people will know you as that annoying person that they don't want anything to do with. I've seen this happen. I've seen people who just start coming across as overly keen, trying to sell themselves too much, and it's almost like people start filtering them out, and they don't want to listen to them, and they don't want to hear them. So you don't want to be that person either. However, there is definitely a way to balance the two things. Like anything else in this world, you don't just not do something because there's that fear of, oh, maybe I'll do it wrong. No, learn how to do it right, and then you're going to get those rewards, right? Because if you don't learn how to do it right, well, the downside is just where you are right now, you're not going to land the best opportunities. So I see a lot of people like, well, I'm kind of worried I'll do it wrong. I'm worried I'm going to come across as telling myself too much or too annoying, or all these kinds of fears. And so they just say, well, I'll just hope for the best, and I hope that sending my CV or whatever, or doing my networking the traditional way, I'll just keep trying and hopefully that gets me somewhere. Well, it won't, and you're going to be, or even if it does, you'll have missed out on even better opportunities. Don't let someone else who knows how to do it better get those opportunities. Like you're skilled, you probably be better at the job than they would, and just because they have learned how to do this, you are missing out. So don't let that happen. Just learn how to do it. And once you do it, it's really, really fun to have your brand on point, know how to explain what it is that you do. And branding, like I've heard now even from Alyssa Marie's comment, right? Like, oh, branding doesn't come easy to me. You're not alone in that. A lot of people feel like it's just an uncomfortable thing. They don't know what to say, how to say it. Either they feel like they're doing too much, or they feel like they're being too little, and someone else is getting ahead of them. Is this okay? Is this not okay? Like all of those kinds of concerns are totally are really, really common, and there's something that you need to figure out, right? It's the kind of thing where, yeah, a lot of people have those fears and are not doing it that well. Well, don't be one of those people. If you want to be an industry leader, if you want to get the best opportunities, the best positions, and if you want to get the position, the right position for you, this is something you need to figure out now, because you're going to lose opportunities. Every time you go to talk to someone who could be a good contact, you're going to say the wrong thing, it won't go anywhere. Every time you have someone's eyeballs come across your LinkedIn profile, same thing. It's not going to go anywhere because it's not saying the right things. So that's why this is so important to get figured out as soon as you can. I have so much more to say about branding. I don't want to overdo it in one little Facebook Live here, but let me know if you guys have more questions. And I had a couple more questions that came in that I was going to answer. So what did we have here? Okay, so Jonathan, you also asked, how can I establish authority without a ton of experience when going into the market? And your example was working as a tutor, and using copywriting and for a company and for myself, to going out copywriting, storytelling, and brand building. Okay, really great question. So I love the questions. Specific examples. So, how can you establish that authority if you don't have a ton of experience in the market? So what you don't want to do is kind of faking it until you make it, or trying to be funny. And this is where I see a lot of people who try to create big portfolios. They spend all this time, usually a lot of money, creating really fancy websites, and they try to overcompensate for that lack of experience by trying to be too picture perfect. We're trying to have all these samples where they start writing a whole bunch of they just start writing stuff. At least I have a writing sample to put on my website. When they'll do a bunch of courses, and all of these kinds of things are just compensating for that lack of experience. The only way to build that credibility, that experience, is to get that experience, which nobody likes because it's that vicious cycle of experience to get experience. But what you need to do is get actual clients, right? So you need to be out there, even if at first they don't pay you. But usually you should be able to get paid pretty quickly, but just find ways to do those exchanges. So you're never just creating something as an example and just putting it up there. You need to get real examples where you're working with real people or real code or real clients, like nothing to fake, nothing should be just like, oh, there's something to showcase or just, you know, these kind of products that you can actually create for a real person. You just create it to try to show, prove yourself. That doesn't work as well as working with a real person, a real problem, solving that problem, and getting the real results. Like that is what real experience actually is, and that is what you want to get. And so, how do you establish that authority? Like, it's not a fancy website that establishes authority. What establishes authority, like I just said, getting those real results from people and getting those referrals and recommendations from a real person. And yes, Jonathan did this copywriting for me, and my client up by 10%. And this was the effect on my business, right? Because if you can share that story, you're going to want to hire you for your services. You don't need to spend a long time trying to look good. And that is something really important. And I know that you're going to freelance writing, but it's the exact same thing for someone who wants to get a job in a new sector. You need to be able to show those real results. And usually in your backstory, there are some examples that you can use towards that new direction. But obviously there's a special way to do that so that it's not like you're making something up and so that it still sounds relevant, even if you're going into a totally new sector. And again, this is something that Laura did where she was a production designer and she ended up becoming a project manager since she went from freelance to corporate, totally different sectors. In the corporate world, they don't even know what a production designer is. Like they probably thought, oh, are you an artist, right? Because she designs sets and she does costumes and all that kind of thing. How did you go from that experience to being in the corporate world as a project manager? Like, how do you do that? Well, you need to go back and find that value and leverage that into that new role. Does that answer your question? Let me know. Feel free if you need more information about that. Okay, and then Susie says, I have a lot of skills. I need to tailor how to sell these skills depending on the job. Even with a vision of the type of job I want, there are so many variables. Yes. So this comes back to really having that clarity about what type of position you want. And when you're multi-talented, you have all of these skills and you don't want to not mention some of them, right? Because it's a part of you and it's something you know how to do. And you don't want to miss out on something just because you didn't tell them you had those skills. So that's a big one. And that's where it's so important to have that clarity. Have that clarity about the exact role that you want and the exact people you want to work for. And again, I know that can be something that's very confusing, but if you follow a step-by-step process towards figuring that out, that clarity, you'll have that clarity and that clarity will build because you go through the process, as you're reaching out to different people, as you're creating that branding and you're testing the branding. So you're actually seeing how people respond to the branding. And this brings us to another mistake I see people making, which is that, you know, creating that portfolio, creating that website, spending all this time on their CV and all this money, and none of it is actually being tested with real people. So it can look really nice aesthetically, but it doesn't necessarily get people's attention because you're still not branded in a way that resonates with your particular target audience. So you need to be making sure that your branding is constantly being tested with people so that you can keep it in the right direction, getting more and more out of that clarity. So it's that difference between being focused on yourself, okay, what do I want to look like, right? Versus, okay, how are people perceiving me? What do I want to be known for? Yes, and then she says, okay, so really the best thing to match sentences is working well, it still needs to be tested, but hey, I'm trying to get there. Yeah, so it's that testing. Jonathan says, it really does. I am actually getting paid to rebrand and rewrite the website and copy for the tutoring center I'm at now. Also, I learned that one of the things to realize is that people are hiring you for you and what you can bring beyond anyone else. So don't be afraid to show some of your personality and passion in your branding. Give yourself a face and don't be afraid to stand out. Yeah, that's another thing I see happen a lot where people are too formal and professional sounding. Of course, you need to sound professional, but I see, and this happens to my clients all the time when we're revising their copy, because we actually go through every single piece of branding that you have, and you look at everything and actually revise everything. And generally, we need to revise things like sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times, because it takes that long to really get messages that start resonating with their audience, are going to actually resonate with their audience, and not sound so generic, and not sound like everybody else, and not sound overly formal, like this is the days of this dear so with utmost enthusiasm, I would be honored to be a part of your key project. It's so boring. You sound like everyone else. So yes, you need to understand how to create your voice, what your voice actually sounds like, and then obviously how to explain your results and what it is that you bring to the table in that unique voice. Because if you're going to come to the office and talk like that, nobody's going to want to work with you. You're not going to be a nice person to work with. So you need to give an impression of actually what kind of person you are. And that's part of your branding. What is the voice that you're actually using? And what are you known for? What feeling do you give people? Because again, people don't hire you for those generic skills. Like, I'm highly motivated, I know how to use Excel, and whatever other specialized skills you might have. Because a lot of other people are going to have those same skills. What they're going to hire you for is what you are known for. So are you known as the person who's going to write that copy, Jonathan, like way faster than anyone else? And they're going to have this new copy by tomorrow and start getting new clients coming in? Are you known as that person who's going to write in a way that really stands out? Are you known as a really humorous writer? And when they hire you, you're going to be super entertaining and entertain their audience like no one else. What is that thing that you're known for? And this is also another reason branding is so important, because I see a lot of people getting stuck in branding that is not serving them. So that's another thing that happens a lot, where people will get branded in a certain way, whether that's, you're the go-to person for web, and actually you don't want to be a web person, you want to be something different, but everyone keeps treating you as the web person. That's where it's super important to know what is that new direction, and then you can quickly start changing around your reputation. Like within Sarah, for example, within a couple of weeks, she changed her reputation around. Now she's known as the person to go to sustainability for her company, and she landed a promotion so she could work on that, right? So it's super important to understand what you don't want to be known for and what you do want to be known for, and then to actually take the steps to make that happen. So this has been quite long, but I think it was great to talk about some of your specific examples and questions. If you have more, as always, put them below. Let me know about your situation, and then we can address that next time. If you guys are having issues with your branding, so if this is something that is on your mind, if you're not getting into the positions that you want, and you know that other people are going ahead of you, don't be afraid to send me a message. Like, I've talked to people where they procrastinate sending me a message for ages, and they're like, maybe, I don't know. And they're shy and everything. And then within a couple of minutes or like a half-hour conversation, we actually get clarity on something that they've spent the last 5 years trying to figure out, right? So if you're not sure, send me a message. Let me know what you're thinking about in terms of your branding, what it is that you think you need to do, what it is that you're struggling with, and I'll see if I'm able to help you. Jonathan says, love it. People tend to act off of emotion and justify it with logic afterwards. So I totally agree with reaching people through an impactful persona. Yes, exactly. You want to make sure people are remembering you for the right things and thinking of you when they have those positions, when they have those opportunities, when they need someone to write their copy, when they need someone to create those videos for them, or whatever it is that you specialize in. You want them to think about you. And the way that you do that is by, number one, getting clear on what is that goal that is right for you, what is your niche market, what is that specialization. So you're not a jack of all trades, even though you might still be a Leonardo da Vinci who is capable of many things, like a master of many things. That is possible. And then number two, to utilize the power of social media most of the time. Not everyone has to do it. There are, of course, other ways you can do this, but you definitely need to be clear on your value. You need to be clear on how to leverage all of your experience, all of your value into that purpose, into that specialization that is really your calling. And then number three, you need to be in that hidden job market. You need to be connecting with the people that matter and communicating with them in a way that feels authentic, no faking it till you make it, in a way that you feel good about, they feel good about, and now everyone is happy with your branding because you're like, yes, this is who I am, and you're confident of that, and that message just resonates across to them in a very clear way, and they go, oh yeah, that is the go-to person for this thing. So if we need them, we're going to call them. If someone else needs them, I'm going to refer them, and everyone is happy, and everyone is paid really well for their skills and their specializations, and getting to really excited to get out of bed in the morning to do the things they want to do. Okay, guys, that's enough for today. But let me know below if you enjoyed this, if this was useful to you. Don't be a lurker. I can help you much better if I actually get your feedback and if I actually know specifically what it is that you need. So let me know. And if you want to get help with this, or if you need to bounce ideas off of me, just send me a message and I will see what I can do. Okay, guys, talk to you later. Bye.